What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So we're doing a preview today for week 2, Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns on the road in Cleveland. Primetime game this Thursday. We're going to be breaking it down, going over injuries for both teams, statistical leaders on both teams, how players did last week, how the teams did last week. Let's get into the video. So starting with the visiting team, my Pittsburgh Steelers, 1-1. Okay, lost to the Patriots last week, 17-14, but ended up beating the Bills week 1. Don't know how that works. I'm looking at their injury report. Only Devin Bush is listed. As of September 19th, he's listed as questionable. Okay, he's, of course, a piece of our defense. Miles Jack, I think he's second in tackling in the NFL. So Miles Jack, of course, picking it up. He's definitely a huge part of our defense that we added, especially with Brian Flores, coaching our linebackers. On defense, however, TJ Watt. Steelers had 0 sacks last week. And that, of course, cannot happen. Okay, we see how much of an impact TJ Watt has. He's our MVP, of course. I saw a stat that he's 0-5. The Steelers are 0-5 without TJ Watt starting a game. That just proves that he's obviously our MVP. Now, we knew that, of course, but, when TJ Watt's in there, he's putting so much pressure on the quarterback. He's getting sacks. He's making tackles in the backfield. But most important is just putting pressure on the quarterback. Mac Jones had so much time last week in the backfield last week. Steelers were not getting a rush. He was able to run a bit. He was able to have wide receivers get open, the Patriots were. So, they have to have a rush. They can't have that with TJ Watt being out. I wish we could find more players to be able to do that. Cam Hayward, as much as I like Cam Hayward, as much as he's good, he's really not clutch. We really can't rely on him unless TJ Watt's out there. He never really has big games when he needs to be. He never come up clutch. And that's what he was always known for. He was always quiet in playoffs. He was always kind of quiet in big games, when we need him. So that could be a problem. We really need Cam Hayward to step up. People say he's the number 2 defensive tackle in the league. I agree when he's playing with TJ Watt. When he's not playing with TJ Watt, when he's playing in clutch games, he's kind of quiet. That's what stands out from, of course, Cam Hayward and Aaron Donald. But looking at the offense now for the Steelers, Mitch Trubisky. Okay, there's a lot of mixed feelings between Mitch Trubisky and Pittsburgh, and that with the offensive coordinator as well. Offensive line, of course, everybody knows the offensive line is bad, but going to Mitch Trubisky, didn't have a good game last week. Okay, threw for 168 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Interception was at a big point of the game. So a touchdown really just didn't really, it put us in, but he was forcing a lot of throws. It was 21-33. Big thing with him is, we were seeing with Mac Jones getting rushed, a lot of pressure on him. It was the opposite for, I'm saying Mac Jones didn't have barely any pressure. He was having a lot of time. It was basically the opposite for Mitch Trubisky. He was getting pressured. He was being able to forced out of the pocket. No quarterback, no matter who they are, no matter how good they are, should never be forced out of the pocket. Every quarterback should be able to have time in the pocket, and if they want to leave and want to scramble out of the pocket, fine. But no quarterback should be able to have to force to leave the pocket, no matter who you are. And that's what was happening to Mitch Trubisky. He's obviously more mobile than Big Ben, but he's still not mobile enough to be forcing throws downfield, outside the pocket, having to make, weird throws. And it comes down, of course, to the offensive coordinator now. Offensive coordinator, Matt Kennedy, we're playing conservative on offense. Not really throwing it deep. We have Chase Claypool and George Pickens, 2 tall, deep threats. We saw Chase Claypool could get it done downfield. We saw in the preseason, the offseason, that George Pickens was showing a lot of potential. Obviously, in college, he was known for a deep threat. We're not really taking chances on that. Even Pat Frymuth across the middle. We got to take more deep passes to Pat Frymuth across the middle as well. We just play conservative. We're hitting the short routes, absolutely. Okay, I'm not concerned about the short routes. We're hitting, Najee sometimes out of the backfield, Dante Johnson on quick routes, Pat Frymuth on small routes. But we got to get the deep ball going. We can't play conservative. We've been playing conservative. The Steelers have been for about 3 years now. Now I can see that why with Big Ben, of course. He was slowing down our offense a bit, but we're not really seeing much change. I'd much rather, of course, Big Ben in his final years than I am seeing right now. It's still not any improvements. I thought we'd be able to see improvements. So that makes questions now. What should the Steelers do with quarterback situation? I think Mitch Trubisky, this is his last game to show anything. It's a primetime game on the road. Give him that chance. Give him that chance to see what he can do in a primetime game on the road. See what he does before getting him out. Because he only played, 2 1 o'clock games. Have him play a primetime game Thursday, short notice, against the Browns on the road. Who else other than to prove that against? See how he does. I think it'll be a bad opportunity to put Kenny Pickett in for this week, which obviously Mitch is going to be starting anyway. But putting Kenny Pickett in would be a bad decision. Okay, on the road, like I said, prime time against a rival, which we have a lot of heat against. I think it'd be a bad decision. I think we have to stick with Mitch one more time, and then if he doesn't pan out, well then, we have Kenny Pickett starting against the Jets in week 4. I'm all for it, but I think we should still say, I think the Steelers should still have Kenny Pickett at quarterback for this Thursday. The run game, however, is also pretty weak. Najee Harris only 25 carries and 72 yards overall this year. No touchdowns. Big part of those offensive linemen, not really so much Najee Harris. Couldn't get really room. He's getting a handoff and linemen are swarming in on him right away. Deontay Johnson is our leading receiver, 13 receptions, 112 yards. But overall, our offense is just not good. Players, they are. Okay, I trust in the players. We're just not getting it done. Looking at the Browns' offense now. Jacoby Brissett filling in for, of course, Deshaun Watson. He's not doing too bad. They're 1-1. Okay, he threw for 376 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for the season. Looking at last Sunday, their loss to the Jets, he threw for 229 yards and a touchdown and an interception. So he's doing okay for what his position is. I mean, he's a veteran quarterback filling in for his backup, and he's doing what he could. Nick Chubb, however, he's having himself a good start, had himself a huge game last Sunday. Nick Chubb, 39 carries, 228 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he's having himself a season so far. And then Amari Cooper with 12 receptions, 118 yards, and 1 touchdown for the season. So 2 teams that are mediocre right now. They're trying to figure out their place. They both have high offensive weapons, and they're not really getting it done. I mean, the Browns should not have lost to the Jets. The Jets ended up coming back and beating them. The Patriots, I get the Patriots are a decent team. They're not no bad team, but the Steelers should have still beat them. Like I said, two teams that have so many good offensive players and defensive players, which we'll get into real quick, but they're not getting it done. They're not using the most of their talent. Maybe we can see that this Thursday, or it could be really just a mediocre game. Hopefully I don't see that. But looking at the Browns defense now, Browns injury report, Jack Conklin, which is huge. Okay, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, offensive tackle. He's questionable as of September 20th. Chris Hubbard, also offensive lineman. He's questionable. Myles Garrett, questionable. Former Steeler Jesse James on the injured reserve. And Chase Winovich, defensive end. He's on the injured reserve as well. Looking at the defense, though. Points allowed per game. Steelers are beating the Browns on that with only 18 points a game. Browns allow 27 points a game. Total yards, Steelers beat them as well. Steelers are losing to the Browns on offense with this. 264 yards a game, while the Browns have 388 yards allowed. Now, even the Browns are beating them on this now. I was not aware of this. 423 yards allowed by the Steelers, 353 yards allowed by the Browns. 2022 AFC North standings. Pittsburgh is number 1. Of course, at 101, Baltimore at 101, Cleveland at 101, and Cincinnati at surprising 0-2. The spread is Browns minus 4.5. Money line is minus 210 for the Browns. Over under is 38.5. I mean, with this bad offense, I still think it'll be over that. But it won't be a defensive game. I don't think it'll be a defensive game like last week. I think we'll get something going. But that's my preview for the Browns versus Steelers. Keys for the Steelers: stop playing conservative. Let it air out. Okay, let's have a fun, fast offense. And then on defense, put a rush on Jacoby Brissett. We have to get a rush on the quarterback. For the Browns, I guess utilize their weapons more. Amari Cooper should be going off more. Nick Chubb, feed him the ball. Kareem Hunt, get him involved a lot more. And then defense, I guess their keys going into this game is also putting pressure on Mitch Trubisky. If the Browns want to, have a good chance against the Steelers, just make Mitch Trubisky nervous. I hate saying that as a Steelers fan, but I want to stay unbiased in these previews. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully it was a lot smoother than last week's preview, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'm out. Peace.